now we'll do these examples. So if you feel ready to do them on your own, please do them on your own. And if not, then watch a few of them. But as soon as you can, do them on your own and then just use the video to check your work. Our steps for all of them will be the same. Step 1, get 0 on one side. Step 2, factor. Step 3, set each factor equal to 0. And you can always check by plugging it in to see if it works. So for x squared plus 2x equals 0. Okay, I've only got two terms there. I do have a greatest common factor. The greatest common factor is x. So I factor that out. Now I just have two things multiplied together. Thing 1 is x. Thing 2 is x plus 2. So I'll set x equal to 0, set x plus 2 equal to 0. Now I'll solve each of those. X equals 0, that's already done. X plus 2 equals 0, subtract 2 from both sides, so I get x equals negative 2. And that's my answer. Okay, for this next one, it looks like it's already factored, but they haven't done you any favors. You've got to multiply it out and then subtract 8 over to one side. Don't say x equals 8 and x plus 2 equals 8. Remember, there's something special about 0. That's really important to get the 0 on one side. So we have to undo that factoring by multiplying it through. Subtract 8 from both sides, so now I have my 0. Step 1 is very important. I have to get 0 on one side. If I don't have the 0, I'm not able to make it work. Okay, now I factor. So I'll have an x plus and an x minus. What factors of 8 can I put in there so I get 2 in the middle? Well, if I put a 4 here and a 2 here, then let's see, the outside's negative 2x, the inside's 4x. Yes, that works. You should be factoring experts at this point. I've got it factored. I set each factor equal to 0. I solve each factor, and I get x equals negative 4 and x equals 2. Okay, for this last one, I've got 0. That's my first step. Then I'll factor. It's a plus and a minus. I'll use a 1 and an 8. That'll give me negative 7 in the middle. Set each factor equal to 0. Solve each of those. So I get y equals negative 1 and y equals 8. Don't forget to check your work. You just check it by plugging it back in. So for the first one, if I put in 0, yep, 0 plus 0 is 0. If I put in negative 2, 4 minus 4 is 0. So both ways, I get 0. Both of those work. If I put in negative 4, always check in your original equation. Then I have negative 4 times negative 4 plus 2. That's negative 4 times negative 2, that is 8. If I try the other one, 2 times 2 plus 2, that's 2 times 4, that's also 8. Both answers work. Okay, if I put in negative 1 squared minus 7 times negative 1 minus 8, 1 plus 7 minus 8, that's 0. How about 8? That would give me 64 minus 56 minus 8. That's also 0. So I've done my work correctly on these three problems. The next slide will have 3 more. Oh, 2 more, sorry. 4a cubed minus 49a equals 0. Remember, your first step is to look for a greatest common factor. And my greatest common factor is a. Now what's left inside? I have 2 terms. It is a special form. It's a difference of squares. I think of that as being 2a squared minus 7 squared. So it factors as 2a plus 7 and 2a minus 7. And I don't want to forget my greatest common factor of a out on the front. Now instead of having 2 things multiplied together and equal to 0, I have 3 things multiplied together and equal to 0. So I'll set each one of those equal to 0. A equals 0, 2a plus 7 equals 0, and 2a minus 7 equals 0. Okay, solve each of those. So I get a equals 0, a equals negative 7 over 2, or a equals positive 7 over 2. Okay, next example. First, get 0 on one side. Subtract 24 from both sides. So I have x squared plus 10x minus 24 equals 0. Now I will factor. So factors of 24, let me try 12 and 2. Yep, that'll work. So I have x plus 12 equals 0, x minus 2 equals 0. Solve those, x equals negative 12, or x equals positive 2. Notice that when I had a cubic one, I actually had 3 answers. When I have one where the highest degree is 2, I have 2 answers. That won't always be the case. You might have some repeateds, and you might have some that aren't real numbers, but you'll deal with how to, you'll do that in Math 1050, sorry. Okay, our last 3 examples. Again, even if a part of it already looks factored, you have to throw that factoring away. You've got to get the 0 before you start to factor. So my first step on this one is multiply that through and subtract 6. Now I've got the 0 on one side. What do I do after that? There's a greatest common factor, isn't there? The greatest common factor is 2, so I'll factor that out. Next, these are pretty easy to factor. So 1 and 3 should work. Yep, negative n, positive 3n, that'll give me 2n in the middle. Set each factor equal to 0. Well, 2 doesn't equal 0, so I'm going to ignore that. N plus 3 equal to 0, n minus 1 equal to 0. So I'll solve each of those. I get n equals negative 3 or n equals 1. Okay, this next one, even though it looks so temptingly factored, you've got to throw it away. Without the 0, that factoring does you no good. So we've got to FOIL, get the 0, and then refactor. FOILing this out would give me x squared plus x minus 2. Subtract 18 from both sides. See, this is a totally different problem now. X squared plus x minus 20 equals 0. At least I've got my 0. Now to factor this, I know I have 1 plus and 1 minus. Factors of 20. How about 5 and 4? Would those work? Yeah, 5x minus 4x, that'll give me x in the middle. Set each of my factors equal to 0. Solve those, then I get x equals negative 5, x equals positive 4. Now be careful, you may have been tempted to take a shortcut and look at the way it's factored and just change the signs for your answers. That works when the x is just a plain old x, but it doesn't work if it's not. If you look back on the first example on the last slide, you'll notice that's not always the case. And we'll see that again in this next example. My first step, get the 0. Good. Now, is there a greatest common factor? No. How many terms are there? 4, so I have to do grouping. The first 2 have 9x squared in common. The last 2 don't have anything in common, but I do need to factor out a negative, a leading negative. So I'll factor out a leading negative 1. What's left from the first pair? X plus 2. What's left from the second pair? Also x plus 2. You do a quick mental check to make sure we've done it right. 9x squared times x, yes, that's 9x cubed. 9x squared times 2, that's 18x squared. Negative 1 times x, that's negative x. Negative 1 times 2, that's negative 2. So far, so good. Factor out the common x plus 2. Now, is there any further factoring? Do you see it? A difference of squares. Excellent. We know how to factor a difference of squares. Now I have 3 things multiplied together and equal to 0. So I'll let the first one equal 0, the second one equal 0, and the third one equal 0. I want to solve each of these. Move the numbers over. Divide as needed. So I have x equals negative 2, x equals negative 1/3, and x equals positive 1/3. So notice you can't just change the sign of the number in your factored parentheses. You've got to actually solve those. Okay, if we check this middle one, because those numbers are the easiest, we put in negative 5, negative 6 times negative 3 is 18. If we put in positive 4, positive 3 times positive 6 is also 18. So always plug your answers back in to make sure you've done it right. There's no excuse for getting this wrong on the exam because you can always check your work, even if I don't ask you to.